It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA, he is Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. We are Red Eye Radio. All right, you can throw Alan in there. He's over there.
Yeah. Producer extraordinaire.
Yes, he's looking at me like,
Alan.
Okay.
He makes it all work somehow.
That's true. He has the hardest job.
He does.
Listening to us from a few feet away.
He's the only one actually working.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about this job, right?
Yeah.
When it gets to a point where it's no longer work.
Right.
Isn't that great?
No, seriously.
And most people probably don't believe us, but we have gotten to the point after what did I figure out last week? Almost 44,000 hours for me. And we always use a David.
No, I think we actually went further on that in
Did we?
In radio.
Was it further than 44,000 hours?
Yeah, I think
it was
each,
more?
Yeah, I think each it was, I don't know, because mine was somewhere because you and I both, going back in the day, you'd work weekends and,
Yeah, exactly.
I would do double shifts and I had
Yep.
2 or 3 jobs at a time and everything else, like a lot of people in
I did
industry.
I did 2 shows at one time. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, but the idea is that, because you have to live it. I often talk to truck drivers, and I'm grateful that there are people that still love to drive a truck for a living. I mean, they're going through a recession that's really, really hard, and hopefully we're coming out of it. They say maybe late this year or into next year. But the point is to do that job, you've got to love doing it. And for this, because of the time of day that we're on, I would say you certainly have to love it because you also have to live it. It has to be your passion in order to. Levin asked me one time, Harley, can you turn it off? That kind of thing. And then
he asked the same thing to me.
Yeah. It was. Were we at the same event? No, we weren't.
No,
separate event though.
Mine happened at the Philadelphia Republican Convention.
Yeah.
24 years ago.
I think the way he said it to me is you got to learn to separate it or you got to learn to turn it off. I think is the way.
Yeah,
he
asked me when first time I met him. One of the first questions he said, "Can you turn it off?" And I went, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
Can you turn off being on the air?
Yeah.
And this is when I remember because Mark was on in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
He was on Sean Hannity's show all the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so he said, he goes, "Can you turn it off?" And I said, yeah. And he goes, "It's important to be able to turn it off."
Right. Yeah.
And,
he told me you got to. I think he said separate it or turn it off or something like that. Basically, was giving me advice.
Right. But after you do 30 is I really when I heard the David Lee Roth from Van Halen narrative that after 30,000 hours it becomes who you are. That really is true. I always was out there saying when people would say, "Well, you're Gary McNamara, the talk show host," and I'd say, "Well, no, I'm Gary McNamara, the human being. Talk show is what I do."
Yeah.
Now, after 42 years in radio and 35 in talk, it's like, that's who I am.
Yeah.
Because it's just and I'm happy that it is. It's not a negative.
Right.
It's not a negative because I have a job where I get to tell the entire world what I believe every single day.
Yeah.
Well, what could be more than telling people what you think about everything and telling people about yourself and your life and it becomes you but it's not work. And how I know it's not work, as I've said before, there's no emotional difference. Even when I first got into radio, there was. Okay, it's a weekend. Even if I enjoyed it, the weekend's here, okay. Yeah. And you would feel, and then the weekend's over, I have to go back to work. I never have that anymore.
Right.
But in life, really, everything is just sort of, and maybe that's the beauty of wisdom where you're, and wisdom is the experience of just, wisdom doesn't mean you're special. It means you just live longer.
Yeah.
And so all the little things that are out there, you just go, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. So when I'm on vacation, it's like, I can't wait to get back to work. And when I get, the day before, it's like, all right, work's going to be great.
The weekends make me anxious now.
Yeah, and when it's a Friday and I have a few days off, it's like, okay, yeah, but... And a couple of times you and I knew, recently, it would be like Friday, the last hour, and it's like, oh, man, I don't... Oh, it was 4th of July. We don't want to go on vacation, remember?
Yeah.
We didn't want to go on vacation that week. It was like, I don't want to go.
Well, so many times. I mean, we've got one coming up, not next week, but the following week. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. I'm trying to, because I got so much going on in my personal life. Yeah. Not next week, but the following week. The week of Labor Day will be up. And I keep forgetting that. And the reason is because it all kind of melds together. And the point is that, now it really is, when it's a passion, your life is that you're always paying attention. Like many of our listeners are doing other jobs, but they're also deeply embedded in and deeply concerned about the future of the country and involved in the issues that are going on, and they engage in that stuff on a regular basis, and we do too. We just have the luxury of also being able to talk about it and have a discussion all night. So it's
the big story last night is the final middle finger to Biden was, we're going to bury you and put you on at 11:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
And everybody, I mean, you look at Democrats, like in the media, they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Saw Chris Cillizza going, my God, Warnock is keep talking and talking. This is way too long. Biden isn't going to get on till way later. This is just wrong. And you see a lot of the people in the media, this is just wrong. We'll play coming up some of the highlights of the commentary on it. Even Chris Wallace, this is even before the speech, said, don't call it bittersweet. It's just bitter what's going on. And it just was mind-boggling how they did not want him to have an audience. This is one of the reasons they didn't want him to be representative of the Democratic National Convention at all, which is why they buried him so late into the evening.
In its decision overturning Roe v. Wade, as you heard earlier tonight, the United States Supreme Court majority wrote the following, quote, women are not without electoral or political power. No kidding.
What?
Yeah, it wasn't good. He went through all the lies, the normal lies, which were he did everything, right?
Yeah.
He did
it was, Trump is promising a bloodbath. That's not true.
Right.
He says he'll be a dictator on day one. It was a joke.
Right.
All those things where you have to conjure up fear in people's minds. The very small audience that is watching you at 11:30 Eastern. That's how it was. Once a liar, always a liar. You go out the same way you came in, right?
The one thing that will be covered is when he said the protesters have a point.
Yeah.
The pro-terrorist, Jew-hating protesters have a point.
Yeah.
That was probably, there's a lot of lowlights, but that was one that was probably cringeworthy for a significant portion of independents who they're trying to please. The other thing is the entire concept of what they said this convention was going to be about, joy, it wasn't. It was screaming, as you said, when I saw you responding to David Limbaugh, where he was like, this is turning into the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. It was bad. He was angry. It was like a State of the Union address. It was not an impressive first night at all.
It was, AOC was angry.
Yep.
She's doing her bouncing thing while she's talking. She really does think that she is a civil rights leader. She's up there, and she's got the anger face. The New York Times found the one half a second where she was smiling and put that on one of their stories. And it was, I think, right when she walked out. But she went into her rant, and she was angry. Joe Biden was angry. There was no joy that was on stage. And I'll tell you this, too. Jill Biden's body language and facial expressions have been odd. And it's likely because of whatever is going on with her husband. And I'll tell you that it is not easy to be a caretaker if that's what's on her mind. And it's also probably, on the bigger point, not easy to watch your husband being kicked to the curb. And she didn't look happy on stage. Her body language and face, it was going through the motions, and there was no joy at all to be found on that stage. I fully expected them to try and pull off the rock star thing and bring Joe out and just say, Joe, smile, get out there, have a good time. This is your night. You've earned it. Take the stage and smile, and he couldn't do it. And part of that is because his party just kept saying, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet, and they kept him backstage until 11:30 Eastern, knowing the audience would be next to nothing. Nobody's going to stay up to watch an outgoing president at a convention on a Monday night. And I don't know how you rebuild that momentum for the rest of the week. We'll see what happens. Bill Clinton? Is Bill Clinton the answer?
Well, you've got Democrats that aren't happy that Bill Clinton is representing the Democratic Party right now.
Exactly. Well, because we went through this when she was running. The young reporters, especially female reporters, had a lot of questions about Bill's behavior regarding women. And so that's when they started to cut her off from the media because too many questions were coming up in hallways. Mm-hmm. Hey, what about Bill doing this and what about Bill doing that? And is he going to inspire anybody? Is he going to motivate anybody in the middle, the independent? Is he going to change hearts and minds? The answer is no, he's not going to. And Tim Walz is going to take the stage as the keynote on Wednesday. And so what do you do with the Tim Walz? I mean, he's going to get up there with a bunch of lies, but he's been avoiding the media and did so, in fact, pretty actively. I reposted the video on X of him just ignoring the CNN reporter that was standing right in front of him.
By the way, he did all the lies, Joe Biden. He did the very fine people. Mm-hmm. He did the, what was the other one? Oh, the suckers and losers.
Yeah. Right.
All the four big lies he made sure that had been fact-checked by liberal fact-checkers as lies, and they just continue with them. I will say this, though. The one thing that you even saw on CNN with Chris Wallace and others yesterday, nobody's buying into the narrative that Joe Biden is a great person because he stepped aside.
No.
Nobody's buying that he wasn't forced out. Here's Chris Wallace yesterday on this.
You know, Wolf, the word that everybody is using to describe tonight is bittersweet. It's just bitter. The fact of the matter, I'm not saying Joe Biden is bitter, but, you know, it's like you've been thrown out a window, and as you're falling, you go, gee, it's nice out here. No, he got thrown out of a window, and basically he was forced. You know, there's going to be a lot of talk tonight about how generous it was of him and selfless of him. He was basically forced out by Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. And I suspect even the fact that there has been this surge of enthusiasm since he left and Kamala Harris took his place, that's got to be pretty tough, too. You got thrown out of a window and everybody's applauding the person who's now in the room.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's bizarre. Nobody buying into it. And it's, again, you had liberal publications talk about the fact that they threatened Joe Biden and said, if you don't get out, you have no funding.
Right.
We're taking all your funding away.
Right. Everybody is aware of this. It's not even, nobody's even trying to hide it.
Yeah.
And they're pretending, and last night They were trying to pretend he was a hero, and he's trying to pretend he was a hero, and we all know it's not true.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Lower production, higher prices. The summary of USDA's dairy forecast for August. This is World Agricultural Outlook Board Chair Mark Jekanowski, starting with milk production.
We reduced our production forecast for both 2024 and 2025. We still expect year-over-year growth, so 2025 production will exceed this year's production by about 1.8 billion pounds.
Tighter cow inventories, restraints on some heifer supplies, and reduction of milk per cow due to heat stress are behind month-over-month reductions in both years.
Prices this month higher for the most part. A little bit of a weakness in butter prices recently for this year, so we reduced our butter price forecast by a penny a pound.
Increases in class prices led to higher all milk prices for both years, up a nickel at $22.30 a pound this year, up a quarter at $22.75 a pound for 2025. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so there was no joy in night one of the DNC. That's one thing that was immediately. It was funny because you walked in, and I said, "Wow, where's the joy?" You just said, "Wow." Brett Baird just said that, and
yeah.
I wasn't watching, but you were listening. You heard it, and just went, "Wow, there is no joy." And Biden was like he was in the State of the Union,
shouting, sounded angry.
Yep, and actually made more mistakes, a lot more mistakes than he did in the State of the Union.
Yeah,
a lot more flubs. Here is Scott Jennings on CNN.
This is his moment tonight. This is his moment, Scott.
Yeah, Biden is known in his career as being one of the best eulogy givers at funerals. And now they're making him come and give his own career.
He has files of every eulogy.
Yeah,
he's ever
and now they're making him give his own eulogy at this convention. I mean,
you have to give one that's best so you get to give your own.
Yeah, I guess. I am anxious to see how they handle it. It's a sticky wicket. I mean, he was bullied out of this race after 52 years of service to the Democratic Party, and it wasn't all about his age. He was unpopular. He was going to lose. It was Afghanistan. It was inflation. It was immigration. And now... and he had to be dragged out by the fingernails. I'm sorry. This is not. So he's not here in a happy moment. Okay, I know this yarn that's being spun in this hall that he was popular and selfless and handing on. No. It is the opposite, and everybody knows it. And yet the Democrats are engaging in this theater of looking into cameras and saying it. So it's not.
Yeah,
which is absolutely true. And we said this before, and he said. It wasn't just his age. It wasn't anything to do with his age.
No, it had to do with his cognitive ability.
No, it did not. No, not for Democrats it didn't. For the public it did. He wasn't electable. If the public would have agreed that his that he didn't have cognitive problems, if the polling was so low.
You mean what they were trying to make people believe?
Right, because remember, there was no cognitive problems at all. There still isn't. Yeah. It's just it was
according to them.
They're saying it was They're saying it was just time to pass the torch. Pass the torch. They were trying to light him on fire with the torch. And so, I mean, it's still right now when you ask a Democrat, why is he out? What would the response be? You've never gotten an answer. Why
there was no path to victory. They just kind of adopted that.
Right. So they decided the 14 million votes didn't count if you pick someone that the polls show can't win.
The show that never stops. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right. Have you noticed this over the last couple of days? Well, we have said this after now, because Monday would be exactly 2 weeks, right? That would have been, we're at Tuesday. All right, I'm thinking of my work day. Tuesday always becomes Wednesday in our minds.
Right.
So we now have gone, and I don't count the Sunday when she picked Waltz, because it was Sunday when it was announced, right? It was Sunday, I believe.
Yeah.
So I count the Monday. So it was 14 days that every day Trump, I believe, won the coverage, won the news coverage. Now, this is not, when I look at this isn't looking at, in particular states and understanding, how many commercials have run when. This is strictly on a national level. And it's, at the end of the day, is Trump or the Trump campaign on the defensive. Every day for the last 14 days, the Harris, including yesterday, the Harris campaign was on the defensive. And for the first day of the DNC, that's not good. The other thing that started coming on, there's been a lot of criticisms. The one, and we'll get to this here because it was just the most bizarre thing. Their platform, they never took out Joe Biden and put in Kamala Harris. They've already they're quietly quitting her campaign already.
Yeah. Why put it in any effort?
We're not even going to try. But this is what I found interesting. First is David Axelrod, and talking about the fact that when it comes down to it, he said it's a close race, but he believes Trump would win. Remember, this is David Axelrod. You can't get more of a loyal Democrat than David Axelrod. Believes that Trump would win.
Some time. Look, she has made extraordinary progress. We were all in Milwaukee a month ago, and, there was euphoria there in a sense that this race was over, that they were going to win by a landslide, perhaps sweep in big majorities in the House and Senate, and things have changed dramatically. But this is still a very competitive race. If the election were today, I'm not sure who would win. And I think it may well be President Trump, because it's an electoral college fight.
Right.
And in those battleground states.
Yeah, we were looking at national numbers at the top of this program. It's misleading.
And I've said several times here that, for a Democrat to win those battleground states, they have to have a significant lead in the electoral college. Remember, Joe Biden won by 7 million votes nationally last time, and a margin of 45,000 votes or 44,000 votes in the three closest battleground states combined. So she's right to be telling people it's good to be enthusiastic. That enthusiasm is really, really important for the Democratic Party, but you have to turn that into energetic action in order.
There you go. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's what I got out of that. And the one that I think is even more interesting is, let me just get it here. This also came out yesterday. And you and I have questioned the polling all the time. And the reason we've questioned it is on the issues, where Trump still leads landslide on the issues. And also the polls not putting out their political demographics. Who are they actually polling?
Right.
Who are they actually talking to? We brought you that Rasmussen polling has been out there every day. I mean, really, like I've never seen before, saying these other polls are wrong.
Right.
And the other polls really haven't fought back.
I've never seen that before.
No, neither have I. And it says, nope, it says Trump is not losing. Then this came out yesterday, again, not from a conservative outlet, from a liberal outlet, Reuters. The founder of the main outside spending group backing Kamala Harris's presidential bid says their own polling is less rosy than public polls suggest, and warned that Democrats face much closer races in key states. Chauncey McLean, president of Future Forward, a super political action committee or super PAC that has raised hundreds of millions of dollars to back Harris in the November 5th election, spoke on Monday at a event hosted by the University of Institute of Politics. Our numbers are much less rosy than what you're seeing in the public, said McLean, who rarely talks publicly.
Much less rosy. Doesn't sound close to me.
No, I mean, much. You're not saying less rosy, are much less rosy than what you're seeing in the public. And with Axelrod saying it, McLean saying it.
Well, because Axelrod did the obligatory, I think it's going to be close, but yeah, I think Trump would win. Well, why would you say that? Why would he say that?
Well, and here would be my question. If you're saying the pollsters are completely off in the state polling, then what would make you believe that it's close in the national polling? Because he's not saying a little. Because right now, I think with the majority of the polls, I think it was yesterday, was Real Clear Politics, does Trump still win based on the Electoral College? Even from what we believe might not be accurate polls.
I got to look at the map.
Trump wins Arizona. Trump wins Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan. It says to Harris, Trump in Pennsylvania, Trump in North Carolina, Trump in Georgia. Right now, in both the 2024 Electoral College map, with toss-ups, Trump is leading. With no toss-ups, Trump wins.
Right. And the no toss-up version gives him, as you mentioned, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania.
Right. And in the popular vote, Trump is still up by 0.2. 47.5 to 47.3. So if it's much less rosy, well, good God, if Trump wins the popular vote, it's done.
Oh, yeah. If you apply that adjustment from Axelrod and this much less rosy comment, then yeah, he may well reach 50 on the popular vote. I don't know, landslide territory, we'll wait and see, but
yeah,
he could.
I
really want to know this is why I suspect that the liberal media knows that she's in the tank. They know of these internals. They know this.
Well, look,
it's why they're mad. Stephen A. Smith, I don't know how much he knows or even pays attention to internals. Maybe not. Or maybe he's getting calls. Maybe someone that he's close to is saying, hey, it's not going the way that they say it's going. Who else was on it? Jim Acosta last week, and now David Axelrod. Axelrod has access to internals. He does. So I've just had this in my mind since pretty much all of the weekend, because it seemed like this turn was, in the liberal media, was a buyer's remorse of, man, maybe we should have gone with someone else. And if you see those more and more internals coming out, because remember, some of these polls, the pollsters didn't put out new information. They didn't put out anything new for a while, and it was like, well, what are they doing?
And that's what Rasmussen called them on
exactly. And now you have, those internals are out there. She hasn't talked to the media. Walz has done only, I believe, Walz has only damaged her even further. And is that what they're looking at, too? Not only did we go with her, but then she picked Walz, and now he's the rolling dumpster fire that I've basically called him, and she can't undo it now. We're here.
I don't.
It's convention.
Yeah. And I don't think any of the polls have taken into consideration the impact of the price control debate that was so negative over the weekend.
Right. That didn't fly at all. I mean, liberals were going, what are you doing? Price controls. And then it seemed like the whole corporate tax thing floated yesterday was probably a response to the negative response she got on price controls. Oh, I mean, we'll raise corporate taxes. 30 days today. No press conference. No interviews. And we're at the convention. She's going to be on stage, keynote, Thursday night. And as far as I know, there is nothing announced of her doing a sit-down interview between now and then, and she's not going to be doing a press conference between now and then. And neither is Walz. In fact, Walz did everything he could to turn away from that CNN reporter last night. They are running from the media. They are at their convention. Wow. It's bizarre.
I'm sorry. Let me correct this here. The top battleground states, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Nevada. That's the popular vote. Trump is winning 47.5 to 47.3 there.
Okay.
Not national. Not national. Okay. No, I want to correct that there. She's actually up 1.5 points in the national.
Okay. All right.
Which again they believe isn't enough. So I had to go back and check it. Go back and check that.
Okay.
But with no toss-ups, he still wins in both of them, and I still have a lot of questions about the credibility of some of those polls.
Even the national polls.
The national polls, of course. Oh yeah, national polls I do, and just the
look. California, Illinois, New York, those are hers. That's happening. We know that. But you'd be hard pressed to convince me that right now these two are neck and neck. I could be wrong.
Well, here's the thing. It covered enough. 14 days in a row, she's lost.
Yeah.
There hasn't been where's the high point? She may get the high point on Thursday.
Maybe.
And may bump up a couple of points. That comes back down. What does America like that she's actually proposing? You can't, every day you can't have for 2 weeks be against you and expect you're going to increase
No.
the number of people that support you.
No.
You can't have universal condemnation from the left and right for the first thing that you come out with, price controls, which is so incredibly radical, without it affecting you.
Right.
And the dumpster fire you had last night, the whole concept of joy, and it was anger, and there's anger in the streets of Chicago.
Right.
You've got a big hill to climb when the public already doesn't agree with you on the major issues that concern them.
Right.
By landslide numbers. 866-98 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, we got an interesting week ahead, do we not?
We really do.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know where they go. I don't know what they do. I mean, I don't know.
I think the one of the most telling things yesterday, again, was, and everybody was laughing at it and mocking it, even on CNN, where they came out with the platform and they never took Biden's name out.
It's like they're not even trying.
Yeah, it's like, no, just keep Biden's name in. Yeah, but you don't want her related to Biden.
Right.
Whatever. We're quiet quitting today.
Exactly.
We're working from home today.
Exactly. We're going to campaign from home.
We're not going to get this done. We're going to have a few cocktails instead.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.